Hey, Kristi. So I just read an incredible intro introducing you, and I'm so excited to have you here today to talk a little bit about your experience coming into health content writing and then your experience during and after the Health Professional to Health Writer Accelerator. To kick us off, I would love to hear in your words how your interest in health content writing was piqued to begin with. Like, how did that get on your radar and what made you interested in pursuing health content writing?
Sure. Thank you for having me. So this is actually probably a long time coming. Before I used to dabble in blogs, and this would mainly be for my family and friends. So I would do a little piece on different medications, topical medications, sunscreens, just something very informal, just based off questions that I got from my friends. And I did that. And I was like, okay, this is cool. I could do this. But because I was doing so many other things, that was not like the top thing on my list.
Mhm.
I always wanted to do something as I continue to go through pharmacy, right? So you start off in one area of pharmacy, and as I get older, both in age and through pharmacy, I wanted to have something that I could enjoy doing that would still allow me to be a pharmacist. And
Mhm.
so because I did enjoy the blogging and I do enjoy talking to people about their health care, especially older adults, this just was a good fit. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, okay, this kind of makes sense. I've already been doing this, dabbling in this, not professionally or to the scale that I've learned, but something that I was just doing when I first started.
Got it. So you kind of saw the commonalities between what you were already doing as a pharmacist and the ways that you were able to engage with patients and what people were doing as health content writers. Is that correct?
Absolutely. And more it towards the beginning of my career, because as I've been a pharmacist, I've evolved to where I do less patient contact.
Mhm.
But when I first started, that was the one thing I loved, because I started in grocery pharmacy. So you couldn't have told me that I wouldn't have been a career grocery pharmacist. We were next to the bakery. We knew everybody. We knew their families. So I've never met a stranger. And I love talking to people and connecting with people. So being able to do that in person was great. And then you transition here, and it's a good fit. I don't get to do a lot of patient contact now. So just being able to do that just allows me to be that traditional pharmacist, so to speak, if I can say that.
Yeah, I can that resonates with me a lot because having never really worked in traditional pharmacy as a practicing pharmacist, as a student pharmacist, I had to do my hours or whatever. But being a public health pharmacist and not having that patient interaction, but still enjoying that patient education, I've always been able to kind of get that fulfillment through health content writing. So yeah, I definitely can relate to what you just described. So having that interest in health content writing, what was it that motivated you to join the Health Professionals to Health Writers Accelerator?
I had a brief stint with you where we worked together for about 5 minutes, maybe. So I was able to meet you, and I was really impressed with your background and some of the things that you had done as a pharmacist. So I had a lot of respect for you in what you were already doing. So when I saw on LinkedIn and I started following you, I was like, oh, okay, this sounds like something that I'm really interested in, or something that I think that would help me explore doing health content writing on a larger scale. Then I had another colleague that actually went through the accelerator in the early stages, and she had wonderful things to say about it. So it was one, it was you. And I'll circle back to that. But two, I heard nothing but great things. And three, it just seemed to fit. But going back to you, I thought that you were very genuine, and I've always felt like when you promoted the health professionals to health content writing, it's always been genuine. It was never about you. It was about propelling the profession forward. It was about, hey, you're a pharmacist, but that doesn't mean you can't write, or you can't learn to write, or you can't be in this space. And that to me was someone opening the door and saying, think about this again, because this is something that you can probably do. So I was very interested in, and I reached out.
Thank you. That's really nice to hear because it definitely is one of the reasons why I created the program is because I knew how hard it was for me to transition into health content writing, and I was already a medical writer. And so if I'm like, well, I want other healthcare providers and pharmacists in particular to be able to do this, but knowing all the roadblocks that are ahead and also knowing how pharmacists tend to be like perfectionists and need to know all the answers up front, I'm like, I got to help my people because they can do this, but they don't know that they can do this yet.
That
So yeah, I appreciate that message gets across effectively because that's exactly what I've tried to convey. Um, so you made the decision to enroll in the program, and a lot of times when you make that kind of decision, some of the doubt starts to creep in before you like actually get a chance to get started, especially with the timing of enrollment versus like when we actually start. So for you, what were the concerns or the doubts or the like, oh man, did I mess up? Like, am I going to be, what was it that was going through your head before you started the accelerator? And maybe even in some of the early months, because the early phases are still kind of like, do I know what I'm doing? Why did I sign up for this? So let us know.
Yeah. So for me, it was, am I doing too much? Because I can be a busybody, right?
Hmm.
So because I'm involved in other things outside of work, social things, professional organizations, volunteering, you can find that you can really pack 24 hours if you want to and absolutely get no sleep. So I was like, okay, am I trying to do too much? Because I think at the time I was also working on a certification. And so I wasn't sure how hard that was going to ramp up and not studying. So for me, initially, it was the first thing was excitement. Then, oh, wait a minute, did I pick the right time? And then writing, can I do this? You know, and I was like, oh, you know, is this going to be? I didn't know what to expect. So then that I don't know thing. And like you said, as pharmacists, we like to be in control. We like to know. We like to know the end result. And so all of that, as the time between me signing up and starting, the angst came in. So, you know, I was just wondering, would I be able to do this? The time constraints, would I be successful? You know, those are the things you start to have that, and I don't want to say imposter mindset, but you do have some sort of it to say, you know, can I really do this? Should I be doing this? Or, you know, so those doubts creeped in. So it was a battle between being excited because I was finally able to do it versus, can I do this? Should I do this?
Yeah. How did you navigate the time concerns like as you were going through the program? Because there are times in the accelerator where it's like, you know, you're learning a lot, but it's like a manageable amount. And then there's a period where I tell y'all verbatim, the accelerator is about to accelerate. So get ready. These are all the dates that you need to consider coming up so that you can have, you know, tight portfolios by the time you finish. And I
Right.
know that middle part of the program can be very intense. So how did you manage that with your busy schedule, your other priorities, etc.?
I had to have a come to Jesus meeting with myself and then people that were in my life. So I had to make a commitment to myself to say, okay, I'm going to do this. Get my agenda book. Nothing's going to get in the middle of this. This is the unforgivable. So this is the don't break this date. You know, the only way that I wouldn't be here is if I had a work commitment or something that I could not get out of. But I wouldn't choose brunch over this or the movies or just kind of watching TV because that's for me is something that I do to kind of relax as I like to watch documentaries and mindless TV. And then I had the conversation with my family. So people that are stakeholders, and this is not to say everybody in your family, but people that you find that you're around a lot. So I would consider family, my friends as well. And I shared with them what I was about to do, what it entailed, and you would hear no from me. So I had to be okay with saying no. I had to be okay with missing things, which was not a problem because I don't have fear of missing out. But I had to be okay with saying no and then sticking to that. And then also saying no to myself because sometimes the battle is with yourself, right? It's like, oh, I had a long day at work. Now I gotta go to class. Are you kidding me? So I was able to do that And I had to piggyback off of when I went to school after pharmacy school. I went back and got my master's, and I went at night. Mm-hmm. So having the commitment of going to work full time and then going to school after that was kind of already ingrained in me. It had been a while, but I just pulled that back out, and you have to make a commitment. Now, you talked about when it got a little fast. Mm-hmm. I will say that was when it was like, whoa, okay, I need a break. And it was like, we had a break. I think we had like 2 weeks off. Mm-hmm. And it was like, well, where did the break go? And I should have a break. And then it was like, all of a sudden, it was like 85 things to do and trying to do it. And I may be going a little ahead, but it just all worked out. It's so funny as I sit here now and, just having turned in a first edit on something and all the things that I think about and that whole journey. It's funny now, but back then it was intense. Very intense.
I appreciate that that you're able to look back and see and say, I understand why she did this. I understand why it had to be this way. Because I tell you, I'm not trying. I'm tired too. Honestly, some nights I play like, oh, we got class tonight. Okay, I gotta be there. We're gonna show up. I don't necessarily love having to give y'all such tight deadlines, but I know that it's for a reason. I know how the experience is going to be when you're working with a client. I know that you're going to have to be juggling and this and that. And so everything is designed the way that it is for a reason, but it does get intense. So I appreciate you sharing how you not only establish and enforce boundaries, but prior to that, you established expectations up front. Like, hey, this is what you can expect from me over this next, 6 months, 4 months, however long, when you had that conversation. And the other thing is, I remember it might have been the kickoff call, when I go around and I ask everyone what they need to personally see or feel in order to show up in the experience wholeheartedly. And I remember you saying those expectations, those boundaries, and that commitment. You said that on that first day, and I saw nothing but that throughout the program. So that was something that stuck with me, and to see that and to see you actually exercise that for 6 months was like, yeah, she's in it, and it paid off.
Yeah, it
did. Okay, so how did you feel as you were going through the program? Like, what were, I don't know, 1 or 2 things that stuck out to you where you felt like, I'm feeling more confident, I'm feeling myself growing, I noticed myself moving towards this goal? Like, what were those moments for you throughout the program?
I will say when we wrote the very first blog post. After I did that and we got the edits, I said, yes. So the didactic part was okay, was fine for me because I'm a student. I love to learn. I'm very visual. So I will say being able to be interactive was great for me. So having the quizzes, having the video, and then the talk after, along with the book, all of that was great for my stimulation because I'm a visual person. And so that works for me. And once I turned in that blog and got the edits I got, initially I was nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, oh man, you're gonna hate it. I don't know what I'm doing. Was it right? Did I do it correctly? I don't remember. It was like all of a sudden you forgot everything. You forgot the style guide. You forgot everything that you had taught us. And when I got it back and I got the feedback and the relationship with the editor, it made me say, oh, I can do this. Mm-hmm. So at that point, I felt a little bit of confidence, sat up a little bit straight because I was like, okay. And then it was like, okay, but you got to do 2 more of those. Oh, and it's going to be a little bit faster. And I was like, but definitely that for me. In the beginning, again, the excitement, because like I said, it was fun learning. It was fun. It was intense, and it got to a point where it was intense to where it wasn't fun. And I was like, oh man, I can't wait to the end. Mm-hmm. But I did appreciate that, being able to see that first blog to that last blog. Then it was like, I got this.
What about the tougher moments? Like, how did you, what kind of energy or like emotions or sources of motivation did you muster up when those moments did get tough? Whether it was like imposter syndrome creeping in or deadlines swirling around, or like whatever those tough moments were for you, how did you get through those? Because those do happen, and I think it's important to talk about those.
Yes.
And not just because they happen during the accelerator, but because they happen as a freelancer. Being a freelancer is running a business, and you got to be prepared for those ups and downs. So what did you muster up to get through those moments?
Oh man, pick one. Okay, so and you know I'm an open book. So the thing about me is the one thing I didn't mention is I had very high expectations of myself. So all the even though you're saying you're not sure if you can do it or is this for you, once you get in and you invest, I said I'm making this investment in myself, so I expect this. And not so much a figure. I'm not saying that you're expecting a figure, but you expect the best. So you expect when you finish at a good place. You feel confident. You feel ready to pick up the pen, the laptop, and go. My moments in writing that first blog, I like drew a blank. I had a whole meltdown blank. I felt like I lost my knowledge as a pharmacist. And so in moments like that, I would take a step back and say, okay, you know what? Let me walk away from this. Let me figure this out. What I figured out, it was the environment. So the first thing that I figured out, and I should have learned this because of a past experience, but the first thing that I learned, because I need noise, I need things to happen. I don't operate well, which is funny because we have to take all of our exams in a quiet environment. But I operate better with noise of some sort. So I thought being in my normal environment would be good for me writing. I have learned it's not. I miss lo-fi beats of jazz, hip hop, classical. As long as it's that, I can get in a groove. But being able to step back, give yourself a breather, relax, sleep, and then come back to it. The other thing is I had moments where I had huge imposter syndrome, either from not being able to write or forgetting something or having a whole mishap with potential clients or with the class. And I literally cried. I mean, I probably cried forever. And people are like, oh, you're dope, crying, you're professional, all these degrees. Who cares? I'm still human. So, when you have such high expectations and you don't meet them for yourself, right? Or for you. And I will say this because part of what we do and our success inadvertently does come back to you, right? And so even though I may have my personal why on doing the accelerator, at the end of the day, I have people now saying, hey, I'm still talking to people now about getting into this. So I had the expectation of as well of making you proud. I don't want you to have a cohort of pharmacists and healthcare professionals, and then we don't do anything, or we go through the whole thing and nothing happens. It's like, I was there too. So being able to have someone to kind of talk to when you do feel down. So luckily we did have someone that we could connect with in the cohort that we could talk to. So I had a couple of people that I could go to when I was feeling down or frustrated or felt like I, made a mistake, and they were able to kind of help talk me through it, allow me to be vulnerable. And you have to be vulnerable because you're human and things are going to happen. It's not going to be a perfect. I don't care how well, how smart, how talented you are, things are going to happen. So I'm very vulnerable. What I can say is I can bounce back. And you said something, and it's funny because you said it and my cohort mate said it. What's for you is going to be for you.
Period.
Yes, cry, scream, do whatever you you need to do, but then move on. We have to move on. We can't get stuck in that part of time.
One of the things that I liked the most or enjoyed the most about working with your cohort is the fact that you all really leveraged each other as sources of inspiration and learning and sharing and venting and crying. Like I appreciate being able to share what I've learned and what I know and what I've experienced with y'all, but being able to have those people that you're able to be vulnerable with who are in the same boat as you at the same stage in that experience, I think is invaluable. And I encourage all my cohorts to like build those relationships, but I think they really stuck with y'all. Like I really saw you leverage them. And it was like a warm in my heart. I feel like a proud mama witnessing y'all build those relationships. So I'm glad that that was one aspect of what was able to like help you move forward.
Absolutely.
So we're winding down, but I have a couple more questions. If you had to think back to one or two things in your experience, whether during or after the program, like what are the things that you're most proud of having accomplished? What are your proudest accomplishments during the accelerator or as a result of the accelerator?
During the accelerator, definitely my portfolio. I was very proud of my portfolio and how my 3 blogs turned out. I thought I picked some unique topics, not the typical topics that you see, and I feel like my portfolio is pretty strong and has done well for me. So that's something that I'm very proud of. Coming out of the accelerator and really still kind of in it coming out was being able to talk to so many people and seeing the power of the things you told us to do, that you pushed us to do.
That y'all didn't want to do.
How they came forward. It's funny now. And I will tell anybody offline even more funny stories, but it's so funny now because things that you used to look at as a chore, or I don't do that, or I'm nervous, or this is hard to do, all makes sense. I love the schedule that I have, the discipline that I've grown with this part of my life. I've always had discipline at work, but having discipline in being a freelance writer has been really well for me, and it's proven to be productive. I've had several conversations and been able to enjoy some successes, some early successes, I would say, coming out of the cohort.
I love that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What would you say to other pharmacists or other healthcare providers who are considering the accelerator? Any words of advice that you would give to them? Things that you maybe wish you had known before, or just what would you tell them?
I would say that you definitely want to make sure you're not doing 2 things at once. So this is not something that, like, I would not have tried to do this while doing my certifications. I think that's a lot. I think that it pulls you in 2 different ways. Make sure this is something that you really want to do. I would ask, talk to some different writers. And that's what I did. I actually talked to my coworker, asked about it, ask those questions, ask questions that you probably may not feel comfortable asking to you because it is the accelerator program. So, I would definitely ask other freelance writers or other people that have been in the program or do write, what are some of the things that they enjoyed or some things that they don't like about being in this program. But I recommend people to be in it that are already passionate. So I've had people that say, hey, I write this, I do this. And I'm like, this may be for you. You want to definitely check out the videos. I'm always telling people to check out the videos because you can't really tell from one post if it's something you want to do, but you have a library of videos. So I always tell people to check out the videos and see. But if you are passionate about talking to people, telling stories, I love telling stories. As you can see from my post, I'm very open. I like to see people be healthy, do better. And I like being able to you like being able to take information that is difficult to navigate because there's so much out there and help make it easier for people to read, then this is definitely something that you'll want to get into. Plus, we should. We're pharmacists. We're healthcare professionals. Why shouldn't we be able to write about health, about medications? We know it.
Absolutely. Could not agree more with that. Thank you for sharing. That was really good advice. Let's wrap this with focusing on you. So can you let us know a little bit about what kind of writer are you? What kinds of companies are you excited about working with? And what are you excited about moving forward into 2024?
I'm so excited. Okay. 2024 has been great for me. 2023 ended awesome, but I currently write blog posts on chronic health conditions for adults. So anything under that umbrella, I am happy to write or talk about. My parents are older adults, so I really do appreciate having the opportunity to tell stories and make that information easier for people to read and know more about. Currently working with GoodRx on some chronic conditions as well, so I'm excited about that. I have a couple of other calls in the works and working with some other clients behind the scenes, so I'm excited to see what may come of that. So hopefully some news next week on some things that I have going on. But right now, just contributing to GoodRx and continuing to post on LinkedIn. And I like to share stories about, different health conditions that's going on. Right now, the big thing are the weight loss injections. So you'll see me write a lot about that, as well as things that my mom actually wants me to write about because she enjoys this as much as I do. So that's probably who I work for, is my mom. So she's always like, write about this, put this on LinkedIn. So that's pretty cool. But 2024, I'm looking to continue to extend my client portfolio and extend and definitely create some more content around health, chronic health conditions.
I love that, Kristi. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm inspired by your journey, your story, your excitement, your enthusiasm for what you do. It was an honor to work with you. And I look forward to staying in touch as you continue to grow as a writer.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I would not be here if it was not for your guidance and leadership. So I do appreciate it. I look up to you. I thank you so much, Megan.
Thank you, Kristi.
Have a good one.